right. Well, welcome to the Energizing America podcast, where we talk all things energy, why we need it in our business, community, and lives. So welcome, Joey, to the Energizing America podcast.
Yeah, it's nice here.
You know, one of the things that I think I've seen in the Permian for us at Wescom is you mentioned this electrical growth we've had. You know, the roustabout stuff was there when you came on board. Our electrical was in a really, really tough spot. How many electricians today?
We're
roughly
probably 35, 36-ish.
35 electricians out doing work in the Permian Basin. And for as many hours as they're willing to work, we got work.
Yeah. We just need more people at this point.
Which like unfortunately, now that you're an owner, you have to make a decision that, is it worth buying the truck to put those people to work and navigate that? But how did you go from 0 essentially to 35?
Well, there was a lot of milestones. There was a lot of bumps in the road. Just mentoring the right people in the right spots, and actually, making sure there was some structure to it. That was the most important thing.
Without structure, we don't get anywhere, figure.
Yeah, it's hard to maximize any growth.
And what we kept finding is without that structure, we'd get to 5 guys and then we'd fall apart.
Yeah.
Then we get to 5, we'd fall apart. We get to 5, hey, wait a second, let's set this thing up for success, find a good couple people to build upon, and now look at it where it's gone. What, would you do it again?
Yeah. I think we're doing it again right now.
Yeah.
Kind of. I mean, even the operator thing, the lease operator thing that got popped up, and that was like a weird deal. It just started happening, organically more than the electrical. But I honestly think it's happening every day with electrical right now.
Right. You talk about the lease operators and just a different scope of services we offer down in the Permian. You're dealing with roustabout, you're dealing with your electricians, you have your environmental team, you have your pumpers or operators, as you would call them. How do you know which one to spend time in? Is it just whichever one needs me today I'm dealing with?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, really, my focus gets shifted around a lot. We could be like, maybe if we're adding a bunch of people to electrical, I'm going to be focused pretty highly on that. And then if we don't have as much work or something, then I'll be shifted over there. And just I guess, depending on how things are running that week and how everyone's feeling too, you can kind of gauge that, just the feel of the room in the Permian Ops meeting and who's kind of needing a little more help than others.
Which is why one of the biggest, we have the 3 traits at Wescom: accountability, urgency, and flexibility. And it's hard to know which one is most important. But in that management role that you have, especially in the Permian Basin, where every day is a different day than the day before, that flexibility is so important to be able to bounce in and out of those different departments and into who needs you.
Right.
Because you can hardly have a schedule.
No, there is no schedule.
The Oilfield doesn't allow it to
I don't even know if the guys have a schedule. You know what I mean? Unless they're working a bid job that they know they're going to be at for the next 20 or 30 days. I mean, but other than that, it's hard to schedule right now. There's just too much going on.
It's quite interesting. OPEC is meeting this weekend. We'll see what they come out with from their big production meeting that they're having this weekend. But we're in a weird spot in the oil field. It's busy, but it's not nuts. But it kind of is. But producers don't really know if they should. It feels like we're 1 week super, super busy. Everyone's stressed out for like 3 weeks. And then all of a sudden next week, well, now what? And we'll see this massive dip in hours, which we try not to care too much, right, as leaders about the hours. But for the guys, you certainly care. Yeah. Because they're there for hours.
Right.
They're usually not in Carlsbad, New Mexico because they love the Pecos River. That helps, right? They're usually not in North Dakota because they love the Badlands. That helps. But it's hard to navigate that. Up and down.
Yeah, the swings are hard. I mean, when people can't pay their bills or something, right? You're gonna have to start figuring out. It is tough. Like if the hours start slipping, everyone's scrambling. If they're not gonna pay their bills, they're gonna go down the road and get a job anywhere. Yeah, around Carlsbad, that's for sure.
And everyone's looking for people down there.
Yeah,
right. So if there's somebody that was going to be listening in on this, and you had to describe the Carlsbad area, what would you describe it as?
I guess probably for me, it feels like a lot of people don't live there. A lot of people work there. There's just a lot of moving parts right now. It's busy. There's kind of a lot of the main roads, the highways, 285. It's kind of clogged up. At this point, restaurants, you got to make reservations. It feels like to me like a 2019-ish, 2018-ish era, just when everything's just starting to ramp up again, really, because there was a pretty good lull there with COVID and everything else.
Yeah, I mean, during COVID, look at our apartment building. You could have had as many parking spots as you wanted.
Yeah.
And now when I go in there, I have to park a fair distance away, which I don't care. I'm just saying it's an indicator that things have picked back up.
Yep.
If you think back to when you first joined Wescom, and you've seen this incredible little journey that we've been on, because you came in July of 2020, right? Or
yep.
August?
August 2020, yep.
August of 2020. I mean, think about where we were. We were still suffering from the effects of COVID. We thankfully had been able to push through to that point, but boy, you had to deal with some stress that was from me, and I couldn't say thanks enough for you shouldering that stress and really working with me on those things. In hindsight, was there something that is a surprise to you, that whether it's my leadership style or what I was trying to push, or anything that you kind of think back and you go, wow, I can't believe that actually worked out? Or even this whole ESOP thing. Was it a surprise when you heard about the ESOP thing? Is there surprises within who Wescom is and where we are?
I don't think there's any surprises. I kind of felt like your leadership style, and I felt like it would have eventually went this way. I've never really heard of an ESOP before. I've seen it on people's signatures in email, and I'm like, I don't know what that is. Sounds cool.
Yeah,
but no, I don't think there's any huge surprises. I feel like this company is it'll go wherever we want it to go, and I know we can all do it because we have. I just, when I first came out with Wescom, I was a little bit nervous. I was really nervous because I've always I worked for a contractor before, and then I went marathon for quite a while. And I was super nervous to come back to the contract side, but I'm just blessed I did. I'm so glad I came back to the contract side, because I really do enjoy it. It's a fun, fast paced place to be. It really is
fast paced for sure.
Yes.
And I mean, you're a little bit. You're not on an island, but you're in Carlsbad, New Mexico. The rest of the leadership team is not down there all the time.
Right.
In fact, we're rarely there. We try and get there as much as possible. What's it like to have to work with all of us knuckleheads on the leadership team?
Well, you just got to draw the line in the sand a little bit,
Yep.
We really did. I mean, I feel like that was something that needed to happen right when I came on. I just felt like that. Like you put a lot of trust into me, which really helped. A lot of the guys, Calvin, John, there's just a lot of trust built in. Trust but verify, of course. But yeah. That's helped out a ton. Like that's the reason why we're here now, I think, is that you guys put a lot of trust in your leadership team, and it shows, because it just empowers us, and empowers everyone all the way down to the bottom, the labor hands. Because at this point, if I can make a quick decision and they can make a quick decision, then it's a win-win.
Yeah, I think one of the comments I had heard, this goes back a few years ago, that always let the person closest to the action make the decision.
Right.
Because that they know way more about it than you do when you're sitting in your office, or you're not as close to the action. But boy, that can be hard. Like I mentioned this morning in our conversations when we made this announcement, like it sounds easy. Oh, delegate. Let Joey make that decision. And then you go to the office and you're like, boy, I see 4 trucks and there's nobody in them. What is Joey doing, right?
Yeah.
Those can be difficult to navigate as a business owner.
Yeah, you got to ask the right questions. And there's been a lot of questions where you stumped me on. I'm like, well, maybe we need to wait a little longer. Pressure's on now. Guys,
are the
better
questions?
Fill these trucks. No,
should I not be asking?
No,
those
it's
questions?
that's what we all should be doing that. And I kind of think that if you're going to delegate something, you probably should already know how to do it.
Yeah.
So, and I kind of pass that down to a lot of our managers, and I think it does. I think it helps for sure. That for them to search for the right questions to ask their folks, and just kind of a trickle down.
I think we talked about this a lot when you first started. The question behind the question. As long as I'm a leader of any organization or leading anything, I will always be asking a lot of questions. And it's partially because I'm naturally curious, but it's also partially because there's so much learning that can happen when we start asking each other questions.
So what you're saying now is that since we're an ESOP, the questions are going to kind of chill out a little bit,
yeah, you're going to start asking me the questions. Yeah. No, I think that's one thing we wanted to make clear today, and I hope we did, and we'll continue to talk as a company going forward. The ownership of Wescom changed. The operations of Wescom did not. That is why an ESOP is such a powerful tool. Think about it. The future earnings of the company belong to the owners of the company, which are the employees who are directly responsible for those earnings.
Right.
Operationally, like one of the questions this morning was, how do we fire the CEO? Well, good luck, right? Operationally, nothing really changes. Jeremy and I continue marching forward, and, we still have our board of directors. We still have awesome people like Joey and Nate and Tyler running our areas. There's a lot of good things that are happening. So I think, the questions, sorry, Joey, they're still there. But hopefully you've been able to learn through them too.
Yeah. I try to answer them before you even ask them now.
Because
I know which ones you're coming with.
How do you know? Because I've asked him enough, or what?
Yeah. Well, Shane's going to ask me about this, guys. So let's figure this one out real quick before you even ask. It's better to have an answer, right?
Yeah. Well, it shows that you know what the priorities are. So I think as a manager, that you're in a tough spot, right? You're trying to satisfy your employees at the same time you're satisfying this leadership team. So and I think I've audibly told you this before, use your leadership team as a punching bag. Like, right. Oh, I know they're going to ask, or no, they said no, that's okay.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the conversation is just too uncomfortable to have otherwise.
Right. And I tell the guys to do the same with me, I just tell them they're not going to take the truck home because of me or
exactly.
Whatever.
Yep. You can tell your roast about manager to do the same exact thing, and then he can tell his foreman to do the same thing. It's totally good. It makes it work. Well, I think you owe yourself a huge attaboy on the success of the Permian team. In the matter of just 3 years, you've went from 40 people, 105 people, one scope of service really doing roustabout, to doing several scopes of services, roustabout, thriving environmental, growing and investing in that electrical team, the operators that kind of came out of nowhere that you've been putting on and adding to that, the automation guys that you've been able to attract and retain down there. We can't forget that. And that's a continued focus area for us. There's not very many people, Joey, in your age and your stage of life who can look back and have accomplished that much in that short amount of time. And then you're now a business owner as well. So I just know that on behalf of Wescom, we owe you a debt of gratitude. You really have done a phenomenal job, and it's been cool to see your team grow. But I have to say, it's been really awesome to see you grow, because you have. And sometimes we don't realize that until we look back. I remember a few times when I'd ask a question at first. I think I actually had to tell you one time, like, Joey, I don't want to have to feel uncomfortable when I ask you a question.
Right.
Don't take this wrong. I'm just personal. Asking. I want the right to be able to ask you so that you can learn from it.
Right.
And now when I ask you a question, I never get the feeling that you're upset by that question.
Yeah.
And typically you already have the answer anyway. But even if you don't find that uncomfortable, and I don't ever want you to. Right. It's okay if we don't know the answer. It just means that we got to go find it, right? So I just know it's been really, really cool to see the team grow, but more so even you. So if we can continue to march forward, I know we can.
No, we will.
All right. Awesome. Well, until next time, thanks for coming on.
All right. Thank you.